Now, I've been working with young people, I've been working with old people for a long time. And when I begin to look at some consistencies, the consistencies that I see is that parents and guardians make a difference. They make a difference at a very early age, right? And what we do as a community makes a difference. And so I want to talk to you about this word, encourage. And so if you're taking notes, write it down. I'm going to give you a little thing. We go encourage. I'm going to break down one point for each letter in that word encourage. And in the backdrop, I want you to think about young people who become older people, right? And the seeds that we plant inside of our young people will become the fruit that is produced once they mature. And you look at it from birth till about 7, 8 years old, we have some personality being developed. And then as that child gets a little older, when they got to go through 4th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade is critical. Because 3rd grade in a lot of school systems is kind of what I call the sorting hat. You're going to go this way on this track, or you're going to go on this track. And oftentimes, the math class is the major driver in terms of which way that kid's going to go. So I want to take you to that education system real quick so that you can understand why we have to encourage. And I'll share this with you. Now, I am a reformed knucklehead. All right? I'm the guy who graduated from high school with a 1.98 GPA and a 740 combined on the SAT. But I'm also the guy who has earned 4 degrees. The last degree was a postmaster's degree in counseling and clinical supervision from Johns Hopkins University with a 4.0. So I'm quick to tell folks, just because my grades had a reflection in high school, let's never get it twisted. What it was, the grades were a reflection of my emotional and mental state at that time, never an indicator of my ability. And so when I look at our young kids and we look at these grades and they get put this way and their whole future is being pushed on these tracks because their grades represent a reflection of their emotional or their mental state of being, it is not an indicator of their intellectual capacity. And so now why do we need to encourage? So first of all, we have to encourage. Here's the E. There's emotional impact. What we do as parents, we have an emotional impact on our young people. So I want to encourage you as a parent, as an auntie, as an uncle, as a neighbor. I want you to think about the emotional impact a simple smile will have on a child. I was with one of my students earlier this year, and she was in my office, great little girl, and she's in there and she's crying. She said, I haven't talked to my dad in 3 months. I said, well, what's going on? He used to call me, he used to send me a text. He's not doing any of that. I don't know if he's dead or alive. I tried my best to reach out to him. He didn't return my call either. But I watched the impact. And then you have others filling in the gap. But something as simple as, hey, I'm thinking about you. Even an emoji, hey, love you, girl, love you, boy. Right? Emotional impact. Next piece, when we think about encourage, go with N. So we got E, emotional impact, N, and when I'm going to tell you about the N, let there be no limit to your love. See, love is free. It don't cost you a thing. Love is free. And have no limits to how you express your love to your children. Even when they get on your nerves, they are wired that way. They are going to do some things that might push a button that you might not like. But here's what I know. I know that when the child can feel that love, then there is some safety in that love. And I'm not talking about Hollywood's love. I'm talking about love that is compassionate, love that is forgiving, love that is understanding. And so the child will feed, the nourishment that they get is the love. And so the first thing we said, you got to encourage because there's emotional impact. And no limits to your love. The next piece, C, is the communicate to connect. Don't communicate just to be heard, but communicate to connect. And there's a difference. Because if you're talking with children and anybody, you see few people, everybody communicates, but very few actually connect. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips for connecting. So what you want to look at, there are 4 key points when we connect. The first one is visually. See, before you open your mouth, before you say a word, what you're going to see, right? What your child is going to see, what other people are going to see, they're going to read your body language. You all know how it is. Is this a good time to talk, or is this not such a good time to talk? What message are you communicating with your visual appearance? All right, I'm going to look at my notes real quick, make sure I don't miss anything. But so we have in the communication to connect, the very first piece, visual. We are visual people. That's why marketing has all kinds of images, because we're going to look with our eye. The next piece is verbally. So now we see you, now is what's being said. What's being said, how it's being said, the tone. The go do this versus, hey, look, why don't you go ahead and do this? Or do you think maybe you might want to consider doing this? You're saying the same thing, but your tone of voice. Tone of voice. So the child's going to see how you look, right? The second piece, they're going to listen to what you have to say. And then we look at intellectually. So you connect with people from what they see, what you say, intellectually. Let me break that down. Does it make sense? Can they relate? Can they process what's being said? Right? Can they process what's being said? And then the other piece of connecting, can it hit the heart? And so often I'll tell parents, I'll tell anybody working with kids, you got to touch the heart in order to get to the head so they'll give you their hand. If you can't connect to the heart, they're never going to let you in their head, and you're not going to get that hand. And so when we go back and we look at emotional impact, no limits on your love, communicate to connect. The next piece we want to look at is the O, and opportunities. See, we can't look at all the obstacles that stand in the way of opportunities. The best opportunities are the ones that you create. Create the opportunity to have done the things that you want to see get done. If you don't create the opportunities for yourself, no one else is going to be as consumed with creating opportunities for you as much as you should be consumed with creating opportunities for yourself, for your offspring, for your children's children. And then when we go into the you, right, in terms of encourage, we got to uplift. And I'm going to tell you this one. This might catch you off guard, but the first person you got to uplift is yourself. See, you can't pick up a child when you're down, because you're going to bring the child down with you. So you got to uplift yourself so that you're in a position to create the opportunity to uplift those who are depending on you so that you can have an emotional impact so the child will see that there is no limit to your love, and now you're communicating to connect. You follow me? And so we look at that, because part of that encouraging piece is that the R is that we have to relate. You got to think. So you have to relate to that child. I'm going to tell you this one. Relate with being transparent. You don't got to try to be a superhero to your parent, all right, to your kid. Be real. Now be mindful, but be real, because 9 times out of 10, the child already has some ideas about what's going on. And if you try to act like what's going on isn't really going on, then you're not being transparent. Then they're going to say, well, that person's real fake. But you want to be real within reason so that you can connect. So if you're going to encourage somebody, be real. Don't try to be something that you're not. Be real. Be transparent. If you're not quite where you want to be, say, hey, you know what? I'm not quite where I want to be, but I'm working on it. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be, and we're going to walk. And hey, I'd love for you to come with me to get to where we need to be. So you want to be real. The other part is the A, and this is very important, and that is the attitude. See, attitudes are contagious. Has anyone ever heard of this? It's called mirror neurons. Any of you ever heard of mirror neurons? All right? Mirror neurons, and there's been some studies, what happens, and from a neurological standpoint, you ever see somebody look at you in a certain way and you turn around and look at them the same way? Is the neurons that are mirroring each other. And so you have to operate in a higher level of consciousness. So if that kid comes to you and they having a rough time because they might not have the words to express how they feel, and you might see what you might perceive as an attitude, and they come at you with that, smile at that little child. Love on that little child. Look past that little child. Don't look at them as they are, but look at them as you want them to be. Treat them not as they are if they're in a position where they can't articulate where they want to be or what they want to do, but treat them and interact with a higher level of expectation. Let your attitude be contagious so that they're mirroring your neurons and you're not mirroring theirs. Everybody with me? And then we look at the G. The G in the courage, go after your dreams. Go after your dreams like your life depends on it. Right? Go after your dreams and bring them with them, but inspire your child to go after their dreams. Because if you go after your dreams as if your life depended on it, and you don't leave them behind, but you go after, you're going to model. You're going to model, because kids don't listen to what you say, they listen to what you do. They don't listen to what you say, they listen to what you do. And then they mimic what they see you doing. You with me? And so what happens, if you go after it, we're pursuing to have balance. Don't go after your dream so much that you're neglectful, but go after your dream as if your life depended on it. And understand that your dream needs to be aligned with your purpose. So whatever it is that you're passionate about, connect it with your purpose, and when the two intersect, you'll find your sweet spot. And this is how you make things happen. And the last piece is the E. Experiences create memories. The experience creates memories. If I'm going to do something right now, because my time is just about up, I want you to think back to when you were in school, elementary school, middle school, or high school. And I want you to think, what was the favorite lesson your teacher taught? Can you remember? Now I'm asking you a different question. What was one of your favorite experiences with someone at that school who cared about you? Can you remember that faster? All right, now I'm going to need a volunteer. Somebody, what was that favorite experience you might have had when you were in school? Don't be shy, because I'll call you out.
All right. I had a play I did when I was in school, Martin Luther King play.
And was that a great experience for you?
Yeah, that was real good.
Now, how long ago was that play that you did?
It was like elementary school.
So how long ago was that? You look like a young fella. How long ago was that?
I don't know.
About 12, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? I'm an old dude, man. You've been in elementary school 12, 15 years.
Yeah.
But now, 12 or 15 years ago, can you remember that experience as if it was just the other day?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that experience change and impact your life as you are right now?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because experiences create memories. And we have to engineer experiences for our children. They don't need to experience you lecturing them. They don't need to experience you giving them a hard time. Right? Now, sometimes you got to correct them. Don't get me wrong. I believe in discipline. But you create the experiences. You got to engineer the experience so they can have the memory. And then what they're going to do is reflect back on that memory. So what we'll realize is that the most valuable treasure is not things, but the memories. When we get around, and I get around with the old heads older than me, and we talk in circles, we don't break out all our stuff. Man, we sit back, think about it. When you get together with folks, Y'all don't reach in y'all say, hey, look, this is how much money I made. Hey, I did that. I got this. Hey, I got this house. I got these cars. No. You go back and you say, oh, you remember. You go back and you go back, and what gives you that good laugh and that sense of community is when you sit back and you say, man, you remember when we did that? Because that's going to unlock. When you open up that treasure chest of experience, that gives the next generation hope. It gives them hope. When you say, man, I remember, boy, them grades, I was not hitting it. And then there was somebody who cared about me more than I cared about myself. And then when the little people hear that, because you're transparent, and they realize, well, there's somebody care about me like that too. You're giving them the riches that they need that materialism will never do for them. So look, I know my time is up. I want to thank you so much. I wish I had more time to share all kinds of things with you. But what I want to encourage you to do, be an encourager. Lift up not your own child, but lift up other children as well. Watch who your kid, I'm going to leave you with this. Watch who your kid hangs with, right? And invest in them. Invest in the ones that your kid hangs with. Because the 5 people your children hang with are going to be the type of kid your kid's going to be. And trying to tell your kid, don't hang out with that one, don't hang out with that one. You know what they're going to do?
Hang out with them.
They're going to hang out with them behind your back. So you know what I do? Hey, you pour into all of them. And then around your life, the 5 people you spend the most time with, you're looking at who you're going to be like. So make sure you find mentors, find people to pour into your life so that you can be a river, not a reservoir. A river brings life. It feeds. A reservoir, you just storing up stuff, and it doesn't do anybody any good. Hey, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's please give another welcome to Mr. Ed McBee. Next, we'll be discussing our Dad's Toolbox program. But first, let me begin by introducing the person who's largely responsible for this program tonight. This gentleman has been committed and dedicated to the success of the Parenthood Justice League. He is currently a graduate and senior at the University of the D.C. Columbia Social Work Program. He is also a registered addiction counselor and has worked with children and families as a case manager at various social agencies throughout Washington, D.C. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Sonny Myers-Graham.
Mr. Reed said here, I think I want to start on that note about how when somebody makes you feel some kind of way, you remember that, you know, and like I said, one of my most powerful memories is when my children were first born, and one of the things I remember the most is that my son had a funny cone-shaped head, and he came out, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? You know, like, is he gonna be okay? And you know, the lady was like, yeah, no, he's fine. But after that, you know, like I tell everybody, I got kicked out of the hospital because it was a Catholic hospital, and it was after hours, and I remember waiting in my car and feeling like my life was changed from that moment on, you know. And I couldn't wait. I couldn't go home. I couldn't go anywhere. I had to go see this little life that I had created that I was responsible for, and that was a changing, life-changing moment for me. So for me, when I created Parenthood Justice League, it wasn't just because I read some data or I felt that you know, this was just a good idea. It came from personal memories, personal experiences that built what it is. And I can say that as somebody who is deeply committed to their children, to go from the role of being a sole custodial parent to go to the role of being a non-custodial parent who doesn't even have access to your children is a very difficult thing to go through. So this was the seed to why I created this agency. I know that in life things happen, and you know, relationships happen and things happen, and just because your relationship, personal relationship with a maid ends It's not in the relationship that you have with the children. And in some cases, you know, in this world, it's not a perfect world. And then sometimes the things happen and, you know, what we're doing today is trying to make it better, to give fathers more tools so that they can access and be more involved with the children. And I say fathers, but the program is not going to be specific to fathers, but it is where my target audience will lie. It's going to be males 18 to 35, because this is the most vulnerable population for minority males. They have the highest rate of recidivism. You know, if they have a record, they're more likely to go back to jail. They also have a lot of challenges that they face in today's society. However, the program isn't just for any particular type of non-custodial parent. It's welcome for any non-custodial parent, especially in the district, because we know the district has a lot of good programs and a lot of resources, but what a disadvantaged non-custodial parent may look like may be different. So, and in some cases, it may be a mom that's coming out of incarceration, is having a hard time reconnecting with her child. Or it may have a number of different looks, actually, you know. And so what I wanted to do is create a program that would be a benefit to any disadvantaged non-custodial parent. Okay, so essentially any parent who has children who lives in a district and is not on an offender registry is welcome to enter our program. Our program is going to be called Dad's Toolbox. It's an 8-week parental enrichment class. It's going to be based off of information obtained from the National Fatherhood Institute. So there are like 8 core areas that they kind of identified that are important for disadvantaged parents. And among those were employment opportunity, it's you know, life skills, dealing with substance, you know, dealing with domestic violence, dealing with learning how to deal with the custodial parent. All of these things are key components of my program. Now, whereas my program is a little different from the program which they list on their site, is that my program is not necessarily deficit-based. I'm not coming at you from where your weaknesses are. I want to give you information and tools and build on your strengths. So it's going to be group therapy, and it's going to incorporate solution-focused based models as well as cognitive behavioral therapy as well. So we're going to have talk sessions where basically we do interactive things where fathers get to discuss what they are currently experiencing, and we get to kind of work through some of those issues and scenarios, as well as do adult learning and try to make the program educational and fun and engaging. So I'll be using games like Kahoot and Flickr, and we'll be doing Jeopardy games and things like that along the way. It's many exercises and activities which kind of, you know, create some, you know, number one, some sense of teamwork or some kind of supported network. That's what I'm going to be trying to foster in the program, because the biggest thing that I really want to do is have everybody who comes in the program and goes through the program feel supported, because I feel that support is very important. You can do a lot of things, you can give a lot of information, but I think support and hope and encouragement is probably, you know, one of the biggest things that anybody can do to make an impact on somebody else's life. So I want to make sure that my program, you know, encompasses that type of theme and that type of you know, programming, and I want to make it so that it will respond to all of the participants who are in the program. So the program is actually going to be located across the hall here in this conference room. It's going to consist of eight individuals at a time. We're going to meet for 8 weeks, 8-week sessions. It's going to be from 6 to 8 on Mondays. If for some reason the classroom here is not available, then we'll hold the meetings at the next nearest library, which would be the Southeast Library branch, which would be at Eastern Market. In the future, we're looking forward. We're making partnerships. So we may be holding classes at the University of District of Columbia in the future, but we're still working on that kind of partnership now. So we are looking for a permanent location to hold the classes, and the Dad's Toolbox program is really just an entry segue program for some of our other programming. In addition to the Dad's Toolbox program, we're going to have what's called the League of Heroes, which is going to be basically a support network with activities and service oriented programming for non-custodial parents. So essentially, we'll be partnering with other agencies and programs so that we can keep the dads involved in something while they're still going through their experience of trying to connect with their children. So what that looks like right now is we've been partnering with an agency called Sons of Freedom. It's actually, it's not a formal agency, it's a dance troupe, and they have youth. So we're one of the sponsors for that agency. And so it's a wonderful program. The children, they perform through dance, and they deal with challenges that young men would face through dance. So it's a really creative program made by an educator by the name of Brian Harris, and I'm really excited and looking forward to connecting with that program and doing some joint programming together. Some of my ideas is to have some of the fathers actually play mentors to these children who are in this program, and in the form of doing joint activities together and doing community service with them and everything like that, so that they can have like a kind of big brother relationship with somebody and make a difference for somebody else in that program. So it'll be both a support network for the fathers or mothers who want to be involved with their children, and it'll also be an opportunity to make a difference and mentor a young child. So that's one part of the program as well, and that is essentially this is the major components of the program. With that being said, if you guys have any questions about the program, please contact me. There's a detailed listing on my website. If you go under where the program is located, you can click on where it says enroll. It'll take you to a page where the parents can enroll for the course. They fill out it's a form. It's an online form. They fill out the information online, and then they'll go into our registry, and we'll be contacting them from there. Now, of course, we're a small agency. We don't have room for every parent that enrolls, so what we'll be trying to do is partner with other agencies that may be able to assist, the people that we're not able to enroll, and we'll also in the future try to work towards having a case management support as well for people who are interested in that service. We're always forming new partnerships, and like I said, we're not going to try to do this all on our own. A lot of things that are in my program, like with our domestic violence piece, we're going to work with Break the Cycle, and Break the Cycle is going to come and start a conversation about how men can deal with the process of helping the end rate, and how we can deal with domestic violence and what a healthy relationship looks like. And then I'm also going to try to work with Department of Behavioral Health in terms of substance and dealing with that type of thing as well. So that's the program. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer them after we hear from our panelists who will be coming up next. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Green, for that great overview program. We got excited about it. We can't wait to be part of it. So that's a great scene. Right now I'm going to introduce the panelists. We have 4 panelists today. So I'm going to introduce them a little bit, tell you about them. The first panelist we have is Henry Thompson. He's a famous attorney who attended Howard University School of Law, licensed in D.C. He's a family lawyer and a great champion for non-custodial advocacy. This gentleman is a member of several organizations, including Phi Beta Sigma. I'm a Phi Beta Sigma also. Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. He also is a valued member who will be participating not only on our board, but will also be providing invaluable in-kind services to the organization in the form of legal support. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Henry Thompson. We also have Ms. Erica Garcia, our next panelist. She's a parental enrichment class education instructor who graduated from the University of Maryland. She currently attends Howard University program for her master's in social work. She'll be providing invaluable support for our program. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Erica Garcia. Also, we have, I love your name, we have Ms. Lucky Angel. She is a pioneering woman. She's also the She's also the host of her own local TV show. So when you get a chance, watch her. She has her own local TV show, which is amazing, and it's called Just Lucky Ladies and Gentlemen. Lucky Angel is also an actress. She's appeared in many films and TV shows. She's an actress, and she's also a full-time activist. She advocates for families and children. So everyone, please welcome Ms. Lucky Angel. The panelists will provide 3 responses to the following. The first question is, what do you feel that children need from non-custodial parents that will strengthen their families? The second question is, do you feel that a support and education program will benefit non-custodial parents? And the third and final question is, if you had one message to send to parents who want more access involvement with their children, what would that be? Okay. So I'm going to start with the first question. I'm going to see Ms. Lucky Angel. The first question, what do you feel that children need from non-custodial parents that will strengthen their families? Like, for instance, if they is a non-custodial mother or father, what would the child need from that person?
I think the child would need for that person to put them first instead of putting themselves first, instead of putting their girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other first. I think that child needs to be, and to know that they are first in that person's life. That to me would be the first step to making anything possible with both of the parents connecting with themselves. Because if they don't put the kids first, they don't think about each other.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you the same thing, Mr. Thompson. What do you feel the children need from non-custodial parents that would strengthen their families?
Well, I certainly feel like they need strong and positive role models, because certainly every situation is different, but more often than not, the non-custodial parent is the father. That's just the case for any number of different reasons. And I get one perspective on that, you know, in my legal practice. But then I also see it as a father myself. So I have twin toddlers, and it's remarkable, you know, I guess how closely they watch me. Every single thing that I do, you know, they're watching. They want to emulate my behaviors, and the same thing. You know, when I'm at the courthouse, you see the same sorts of things where the children are little versions of their parents. You know, for good or for bad. You know, in a lot of different respects. So I think it's just important for the non-custodial parent to be present, and when they're present, to do their best to model positive behaviors for the children to emulate.
Okay, that sounds really good. I'm gonna go on to the next question. I'm gonna start with you, Ms. Anthony Garcia. The next question I have for you, the panelists, do you feel that a support and education program will benefit or not just your parents?
I do. Being someone that has connected parents with the resources to be able to, whether it's just the class, to be able to just improve their skills in parenting, it's beneficial to parents both, whether it's a woman or a man. I've worked with a lot of parents who have lost custody of their children and sometimes have to take classes to be able to obtain that custody back, or just to be able to have visitations and things like that. So it's very beneficial because sometimes there's some parents that weren't involved and they don't have the tools that they need to be able to teach that child. They're just basic skills. So it's very beneficial for non-custodial, well, for all parents to be able to have the proper tools to be able to parent. It doesn't come with a manual instruction at all. Sometimes it's trial and error, but when you have that support and those resources in place, you're better off to be able to succeed as a parent.
Great. And I'm going to ask you the same question, sir. Do you feel that support and education program will benefit non-custodial parents? And if you do, why do you feel that way?
Absolutely. When we think about educational programs with your non-custodial parent, is information that a parent, custodial or non-custodial, any information that they could help them look at how they're doing things and open their minds up to some different perspectives is definitely going to be beneficial, as long as they apply the knowledge that they've received. Failure to apply the knowledge is not worth even going to get the knowledge. So I would say you have to apply it once you get it.
Makes a lot of sense. And this is such a powerful question. I'm going to ask each panel member that question because I want to get the take from each personal experience they have, professional and also personal. So,
okay, well, absolutely. I think one of the major challenges, again, focusing on non-custodial fathers in particular, oftentimes I'll hear, for example, the mother's not letting me see my children. And I kind of step back and I'm like, what does that really mean? Because in the District of Columbia, if you're a parent, you have the right to petition for custody and visitation rights. So oftentimes people are functioning without education about their rights, and it's shaping their absence, from their children's lives. They're saying maybe they're dealing with issues of unemployment, and the mother has said, well, you can't see the children until you get a job or until you're contributing at this financial level. And certainly parents should do everything in their power to provide for their children, but I feel as though it's important to make, even as you're progressing and getting back on your feet financially, it's important to make whatever contribution you're in a position to make. So even just your presence, childcare, whatever it might be. So absolutely, I think it's important, the education aspect, specifically as it relates to knowing the legal rights, and how to avail themselves of those rights.
Okay. Fair. Ma'am?
Yes.
Same question for you.
Well, I do think that those type of programs would be very beneficial because, as Ms. Garcia stated, people don't know how to be parents. It doesn't come with a booklet. So a lot of times they mimic off of how they were parented, if they were even parented. And then a lot of times I hear from people that have young children, I want my child to be better than I am. So I'm trying to raise my child, not the way my parents raised me, but better than my parents raised me. Which to me is kind of impossible because you don't know what was going through your parents' head. You don't know what their emotional state was like when they was actually in the process of raising you. So it's hard to apply that to your child. So what I try to tell people, what I try to do with my own daughter is I try to ask her, I try to sit down and talk to her. What do you need from me? if you're lacking something, or if you're missing something, or if you finding that I'm not doing something that you feel I'm supposed to do as your mother, tell me what it is. Then we can work through it, we can work it out, instead of you trying to seek other things to do. Talk to your father. It's times when she would tell me that her dad wouldn't answer her phone call because he was mad at her. And I would have to tell her, well, sometimes your father acts like he's your age. So you have to understand that. I said, I know it's hard to do, but you have to understand that sometimes the burden, he don't want it to fall on him. And he considers it sometimes to be a burden, not to say that you specifically are, but the burden of just being a father and one. He considers it to be a lot sometimes. I said, so therefore, I will take over the brunt of his part and my part also. So let me know. I don't want you to steer to the right or steer to the left. So, and I also imposed my dad into her life, because my dad wasn't a great father to me, but he's an excellent grandfather. Anything she needed, if she can call. She used to get made fun of when she was younger because she had big ears. And my dad has big ears just like her. So I took her over to his house. He sat her down on the couch, went and got 2 big bags of candy from CVS, and they sat on the bed, and after that, she never had a problem again with anybody picking on her. I don't know what he told her, because I told him, I don't want to know. That's between y'all two to share. So if something else happened with her, she can come speak to you, and you can guide her back to the right path as you did when she was younger. So I think those programs are excellent, because people will get to learn and smell and feel and taste stuff that they've never been able to do before.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well expressed. We have the last question for the panel's question. This is a really powerful question, and just think about it before you answer. But this, to me, is a very in-depth question. If you have one message, just one message, to send parents who want more access and involvement with their children, what would that message be, Ms. Garcia?
I would say be their number one advocate. You know your child better than anybody else, and if something isn't right, you do whatever it takes to represent your child and look for those resources that they need. No matter if one door closes, there's somebody out there that will help, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I mean, sometimes I think as parents, and me being a single mom, my daughter's actually 18, I had her at a very young age. She just graduated, about to go to Penn State in August, I'm a proud single mom.
Congratulations.
Yes. And I just being present and being their number one supporter for anything that they set their mind on. Just know that you have their back 100%, no matter what it is that they want to do. It's just being there, being present. That just speaks volumes for them, you know, because I mean, she even sees it, like just being able to be recognized by her, you know, this life that I brought. You know, I wasn't even ready to be a parent at the time, you know. We're never ready.
No one's ever ready. Right?
We're never ready, but I had no idea what I was doing. Just to see her grow up and just to be the young lady that she has become, you know, and just because I always said to myself, I'm going to be your number one fan, your number one supporter. I'm going to advocate for you. She never knew her father. They never had a relationship, so I always felt like I needed to take on 2 roles. So, you know, it was definitely the hardest job I've ever had to do, but
The best job.
But the best job, and it was worth it, and just being there for her, and she can vouch and say, yes, my mom has always been there for me, no matter what.
Wow, thank you very much, Ms. Garcia. Ms. Angel?
The one thing I would tell them is that it's not about you, it's about the child. Whatever feelings that you have, and I reiterate that because I see that and hear it I read it so much on Facebook. People inbox me so much about this stuff. Like what he said, you don't want to tell your child that you can't see your father because of my feelings, because it's not about you. The father shouldn't have to tell the child, I can't see you because your mother won't let me see you. It's not about them, because that's not doing anything but hurting the child. I just tell them.
I want to stop you to say that what she just said is the most powerful thing. The parents have to know it's not about the parents, it's about the child. And once they realize it's not about them, it's about the child, it will be such a better relationship. if you don't like the parent, you know, if you don't like your mate, you don't like your ex-mate, whatever, it's not about you, as you
Yep.
said, it's about the
It's
child.
about the child.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, but no, that's not,
Yeah.
that's what I was about to say.
Okay.
But that's the one thing that I would say, take the egos, throw them out the window when it comes to the child. Let the ego set for something else or somebody else, not when it comes to the child.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
once
you.
again. Going down the line, sir. Mr. Thompson.
Well, again, to kind of reiterate and expand upon my last response, I would say it's important to educate yourself both about your rights and your responsibilities, because certainly I don't want to come across as though the father is always the saint in the situation, because we all know that people are people and there's a spectrum. So for example, I often run across a situation where fathers have been, I believe, miseducated in their community, so they're in court seeking full custody, knowing that they're really not prepared or in a position to do so because they want to avoid a child support obligation. So, you know, you see people haven't really fully thought through, you know, the different approaches that they're taking. And to those people, I often say I recognize that retaining an attorney is a challenge a lot of times for people in terms of their finances and the like, but I know there to be resource centers in most courthouses that will help you to figure out the paperwork and to do the basic things that you need to do. The judges, within reason, are very accommodating to people when they don't have attorneys. You know, they try to help you to move your case through the process from beginning to end. So yes, I would say just to make sure that you're being smart about your decisions and you're making those decisions from an educated place.
Thank you. Well said. Lastly,
Sure.
Ms. Yuta.
And just building on top of what's already been said, you know, what I would share with you is that make sure that you do what you say you're going to do. If you tell a child you're going to do something, follow through. Right? Follow through and do what you say you're going to do, because every time you don't, you are chipping away at the trust. And where there is no trust, there is no relationship. Where there's no relationship, there's no influence. And so the way you do that, you got to come from a place of love. Always operate from a base of love. Then you got to listen to what's said and what's not said. You got to listen with your eyes, what's being communicated, what you see and what you don't see, so that you can learn about yourself and your child, so that the language that you use will edify and build up the child. And so, because that language piece is very important, and then that's going to drive how you live. So you love, you listen, you look, you learn, you use the language, then you walk it out. You live this thing so that you can lead. And leadership is influence. Nothing more, nothing less. Lead your child and yourself where you both want to be.
Well said. Seti, you have something to say?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for your comments. And the reason that the panel is diverse as it is because I wanted to include different perspectives and have different opinions on what parents need, so that I can bring that feedback into the program. But one of the things that I want to say is that a lot of times when we talk about non-custodial parents, we have to speak about stigma. Okay, we have to speak about mental health. You understand what I'm saying? Because a lot of times you may have a father who has issues and he doesn't know how to deal with those issues because nobody ever taught him how to deal with those issues. So these conversations about the mom who has to tell her child that the father doesn't want to speak to them may have to do with an underlying issue that father hasn't even addressed yet. You understand what I'm saying? Because that father may have some issues he needs to work on with himself. And we need to have these conversations about, if you think that your daughter is tripping, maybe it's something else that we need to look on and deal with that situation as well. because, you know, there are reasons that dads have stigmas in terms of, you know, dealing with custody issues. You know, they hear things, they don't know the facts, they don't know that they can, you know, get their custody reduced if they are not employed. They don't know these things, and they don't even go to the courthouse, and they don't deal with the situation because of stigma. And then also, you know, in terms of you know, interacting with children, a lot of times if you don't have your own self together, if you haven't dealt with life skills and mental health and everything else, then you don't have the proper tools that you need to engage with your children. And so these are the things that I want to have conversations with the men and women in this program so they can work on and deal with, so that they can better get involved with their children. They have to have a plan. They have to be able to understand how to deal with challenges, what healthy relationships look like, you know, how to get help if you need help, where to go if you need help. So we need to have all of these conversations included in the program. So I always appreciate the struggle that a single parent would have going through everything by themselves. And single parents do wonderful, amazing jobs with raising their kids, but the reality is that when you have more help and more support, you can do even more wonderful things for your children. And if you look at the statistics show that when a father is involved in their children's lives and they're actively engaged with them and they're doing constructive things like taking the child to church for black males, or, you know, spending quality time with their kids, or giving them time and attention, that you usually see less behavior problems in school, lower dropout rates. You know, this is a social ill that we're working with, and it's totally treatable, it's totally curable, it's not the end of the world. It's just that some fathers out here and some mothers need a little bit more tools, and they need a little bit more resources, and they need to know and think and have these conversations. So this is part of what the program is about.
And Sonny, I would just say one thing, is that after being in this space of education, educational leadership, last 25 years and having the privilege, the benefit of being able to work with folks in different countries and just travel abroad and see some different things, is that we have to come together and build community. We have to build community and realize that it takes a village. It's not just a cliche saying, but it's something that we all have to do, because we have to look at economic development, we have to look at educational development, as well as access to resources to address those mental health needs. NPR just put out something the other day about the mental health needs for children, that it's at an alarming rate. And so you can see that on NPR, or you could go on my Facebook page and see I've reposted that.
Thank you. Now I want to say thank you for your amazing insights. Each insight to me was totally amazing. Now we're going to invite all guests who have questions, either to myself or to any panelists or Sonny. We open the floor to you guys if you have any questions. You want or any input from this forum you got tonight? Like if you have any input for us, so we take it back to the program, make it more dynamic, or make, you know, so next time we have that forum, we address that input. Do you guys have any input for us?
Well, I say, I mean, I'm not like a father myself, like I don't have any kids, but like I'm a teacher with like 2-year-olds, so like hearing this stuff like right now, and then when I heard you say you had like the toddlers and stuff, and then they mimic you and stuff like that, I was like, that was crazy, because that's what I do all day at work. Okay. So it's like getting the input from you all and hearing how, like, you know, being like, you know, a male role model, you know, from starting from infants to 5 years old. That's an important like timeline right there for me to be a male in DC to do that. You know, I just got like some good advice tonight from this meeting, so I'll definitely take it back to work and use it.
And you're a teacher. That means that actually you're shaping the future of our children. Because when I was in second grade, I loved my teacher. You know, you look up to your teachers. You think your teachers are like everything. So just thank you. I want to say thank you guys for, you know, giving you the insight of, you know, taking that back to your kids. Any other input or questions we have? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question for the attorney. If the father's name is on the birth certificate, does that improve chances of custody or, yeah, does that help?
Well, there are a couple of things. There's a process under which you can establish parentage if it's genuinely disputed for any reason. But the basic test, pretty much wherever you go, I know specifically I'm licensed in DC and Virginia, is the